Good morning, pregame crew. Happy Friday. Happy Cinco de Mayo. It is May 5th, 2023, 6:22 a.m. Mountain, 8:22 a.m. Eastern. Good morning. I hope you are well. I hope life is treating you wonderfully. I hope you woke up feeling great and not sneezing yourself to death like me. Good morning, Shake and Bake Night Truck Keith. Hey Nugget, Greg, Mal, Renaissance Man, Lisa. Hey Ed. Hey Bennett. Thanks, Chris. It's very nice of you to say. Hey Card Lady, Ed, the other Chris. Hey Sam, Topher, Sir Fernando, Raphael, B Hawk. Oh, thanks, Bob. Hey Patrick Jones. We've got the coronation tomorrow, the King's whatever induction ceremony. I like that kind of stuff. I'm going to get up and watch it. Oh, here we go. Eclipse tonight. Trade with caution. Do you trade with astrology and the moon and stars? Okay. Is there any chart request yet? Oh, thanks, Renaissance Man. That's very nice of you to ask. My mom's doing great. She's tolerating chemo and just getting through the treatment and smiling the whole way through. Hola, Mavic. Shop, all right. Shop really messed me up yesterday. Really messed me up. And by mess me up, I mean, so here's our chat. And every Saturday morning, I pin the most anticipated earning release for the week beginning May for that week. In this case, it was May 1st. So Thursday, after close, Earnings Whisper had Shop. So yesterday morning, I'm like, why are they releasing news of 20% cut or whatever of their staff? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. They don't have ER till after hours. Well, obviously they had ER pre-market and Earnings Whispers got it wrong. So we have resistance here at 59.40, and yesterday we hit 59.82. I would say that's enough of a bull break. Your next resistance is $60 and then 61.40. It wasn't an ideal close for the bulls. You would like to have closed closer to the high of day versus closing $2.50 away from the high of day. But I think still a good showing. Wait, let me go back. That's a potential 4-hour bull flag. You're oversold right now on the 5-minute, but I would maybe wait for 15-minute or 10-minute during regular trading hours. So if we could flush it open, you definitely don't want to take out the low of yesterday. But if you could pull back a little bit at open, one of those stair-step trades, that might be a good trade. Hey, Sharon, you're welcome. Hey, Train Man Dan and Sundin. Sal. Hey, Mary. Okay, CVS. CVS, they had was it an earnings reaction here? Yeah, they had a pretty bad earnings reaction. That's a decent drop. Daily is oversold. We're in a monthly downtrend, so it really doesn't matter. And it's oversold because of news, so RSI matters even less. The high of yesterday, 70.17, is your next resistance. Supports at 68.10. In general, this is just in general, I tend to stay away from wrecked stocks for 3 days. So if you got wrecked on news, you got wrecked on earnings, there is a non-formal, but there's a 3-day rule that you just don't touch it. Why? Because here we got the bad news. Then you wake up the next morning and you have downgrades. It's like the news coverage continues and all the chitter chatter. So this could be a pullback buy against the low of yesterday, but I would prefer to wait till next week if you're looking to try to scoop some up on sale. Hey Mansoor, I check gold every morning. I actually like gold here against 2040 to the long side, but I'll go over it in more detail in just a second. So it's 6:26 my time. I officially get started at 6:30 and I'm typically done around 6:55. That's 25 minutes, 25 charts approximately. I rip through them efficiently, I hope, and effectively and cover. And if you need to put me on slow down, I talk a little fast, I understand. And I do have an accent, so if I say things weird, let's blame Louisiana. Thanks, Setback. I appreciate that. Hey, Robert. Hey, Mark. Well, welcome. Okay, DKNG had earnings last night and they beat. They're up this morning. It's hard to give technical analysis on an earnings beat. It's tough. I can just give you the next resistance, which is 25.01. And when you have this big of a beat, well, shouldn't be speaking to the earnings, this big of a move on earnings, typically I'm going to tell you two things. I hardly ever go bearish on this stuff, ever. It would have to be something crazy for me to go bearish on a chart like this. So I have two bullish options, conservative and aggressive. Conservative is I wait for first 5-minute back burner to buy, and that's first 5-minute oversold. And then aggressive is I wait for some type of tightening range or that break of the high of low bar where I'm waiting for a stair step, and then once it breaks that high of that last candle, I enter. So when I see a chart, typically I can tell you the more conservative or aggressive play, and I can also look at it from both sides, and I can tell you which one's the higher probability. On a chart like this, your higher probability trade is to stay with the bulls. And if you're already in long, stay in long as long as those 5-minute EMAs are below you. That's probably the best I've ever explained how to trade bullish earnings reaction. And the opposite is true for bearish. CWH, Camping World. Daily inside bar yesterday, resistance at 25.04, support 23.39. You see what's tripping it up? That daily 200 MA is tripping up price. Bulls are having a hard time getting a candle close above that. However, this is a bullish chart. Gave back a little bit more than bulls would like to have seen yesterday. So maybe a pullback buy against 23.39. I think you have to stay with the trend here. Night Truck, you're funny. Big Spark, I don't think a lot about 972 contracts sitting on the 40-50 on the ES. I think about where we are, not where we are going. That just means someone's ready to defend 40-50 and put money to work. I think I have a story put together in my head of what the day looks like and could look like, and I hope it helps. Oh, one more thing on Camping World. We're holding the 50 RSI. That's bullish. Yeah, cannabis needs to prove itself a little more. We need more bears underwater. ADA. Second daily inside bar is forming. You have resistance at 3965, support 3851. Okay, there's the non-farm payrolls. They're out, so I'm going to switch to ES real quick. Slight bearish reaction initially. So non-farm payrolls. Let's see, what was it? Okay, now we're getting a little bit bigger reaction here. 253,000 is actual forecast was 180,000. So the market is taking to this on the bearish side, Yep, they're going insane because the dollar is probably moving. Yep, there's the dollar. So let's see if the market can recover. Ona Ocean, I want to look at every name y'all are asking me about. Net, Crisp, Mara, Weight Watchers. I want to look at it all. It's just hard to look at all of it and go over the chart. So if I have time at the end, I promise I will try. All right. Good morning. Welcome to the pregame show. This is who I am. I'm Chart Gal Lori, and I'm part of the Chart Guys community, and we teach technical analysis. If you want to give me a follow on Twitter at Chart Gal Lori, that would be lovely. And if you find anything helpful in this broadcast this morning, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button and even hit that notify button. All right, so we're done with data for 8:30. And then we have the Baker Hughes rig count. Nothing major after this data we just received. Let me make sure. Let me see the 1 star. Is there any minor news coming out? No. It looks like Fed governor. So we have a Fed speaker at 1. But that's it. So we're done with data for today. So we got earnings over. Apple earnings are over. We had a lot of earnings yesterday. We got non-farm payrolls out the way. Now let's just scrape the table clear and the chalkboard, and let's just kind of start over. So what I do here every morning is I show you this table. This is how I convey to you what I see as objectively as I can. It's not the gospel, but it's as objective as I can. And obviously, I see things very bullish this morning, despite this non-farm payroll reaction. I have my notes that I typically keep off screen. Forgot to move those. And I copy and paste those for TCG members only when I am done, and I put that in the room. So, Hang Seng, it was up 0.5, and DAX, what is it up right now? Hang Seng was up 0.5 and DAX is up 0.78. So it's pretty green right now. Dollar is getting these topping candles, so it's topping out a bit here as the market bounces a little bit and the algos recover from their reaction. Okay, so let's talk about the story. So yesterday I posted at 11 a.m. in our chat room that today's low is exactly at the daily 50 MA. And then last night I posted, this is 4:43 Mountain Time, ES with a potential 2-hour falling wedge. And that falling wedge played out beautifully. So if you took that long, hopefully you made some money. But I'll draw it for you real quick, real nice and messy, how I like to draw charts. And here. So we had that 2-hour falling wedge. And I can't tell you, well, I can tell you because I'm going to try. The importance of having confluence. When I have multiple factors line up, so I had the daily 50 MA right there, and I had a bullish pattern lining up at that key moving average. So let's go back. The key moving average was at, now it's at 407.275. Yesterday was like at 406.5. But we lined up right with that key moving average with a bullish pattern, and that matched up. So if you were on the webinar last week, how to define your edge and how to clearly get an edge, this is a very particular, very specific edge, and it's one of my favorites. I love falling wedges and rising wedges, and I love cup and handle patterns. And I love when they line up with a key level. And the daily simple moving average is a non-negotiable for me. When you see me 20 years from now trading, I will still have the simple 50 moving average on my chart unless algos stop responding to it. But for right now, it's going to be on my chart for a very long time. I have a high conviction level. So that was a really high level conviction trade for me. So let's look here. I had this typed out yesterday, key long-term moving averages. We are at the daily 50 MA. When you match that up with that bullish pattern, I'm in. Okay, I've beat that horse. That horse is dead. You have resistance at 4118. Now our next pattern that we have developing is a potential inverse head and shoulders. Well, if that's the case, then why am I bullish today? I'm looking for a pullback at open. We have a lot of these financial names that are at their hourly 50 MA. And I call that affectionately the Great Wall of Louisiana. That's typically difficult to get over. Let me show you where Schwab is right here. Look where Schwab is, right there on the hourly 50 MA. We've gapped up above yesterday's high. So what I'd like to see on the gap ups on the financial names is a pullback. Either slightly fill the gap or don't fill the gap and then zoom higher. And then that would match up with the 2-hour inverse head and shoulders. Do y'all see where I'm headed with this and how I'm getting to where I'm getting? So I really am going to keep taking this one step further, and I just hope that y'all can tolerate me long enough for me to do this. So what would make sense is let's trap as many bears as possible. Pull back, and then retrace to a cup and handle, or even worse, pull back, go to a higher high, break to a lower low, and then EQ out, then go higher. So in both scenarios, I'm outlining that I could foresee a retracement of any type of pullback, a full retracement. So this is me just really taking leaps and bounds. I'm not telling you this is how it's going to happen, but I like to just paint all scenarios in my head. And this 2-hour inverse head and shoulders, that looks like a pretty good thesis for the day. At least it does to me. And why do I think it's a good one? Not just because I thought of it, but because Apple earnings were so bullish and banks are bouncing. If QQQ is bouncing and XLF is bouncing, then how are the bears going to win this battle? Somebody's going to have to falter. So if we have bank news, bearish bank news hit today, then my dream is busted. If we have Apple news drop that they miscalculated something or whatever, then that could bring it back. I just have a hard time betting against technology and financials in the same day if they're bouncing together. That's a hard thing to do. So in the med table, when it's over 100, this is what I call the med table, market environment dossier. If it's over 100, I got to be looking bullish. I have to be looking bullish. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. OMG, it's the simple moving average. Thank you for typing that. Okay. Yeah, I look at Tesla every day, so we will look at it. Okay, so that's my long-winded explanation of today. Let's look at the daily chart on ES. We're at the daily 50 MA. We held it. But that shows you price. We dropped below it. We peaked below, and then we reversed. That price level is important, but that 50 simple moving average is even more important. A daily lower high is still the more likely scenario, and a 4-hour lower high is the more likely scenario. And we just want a shallow pullback on any pullback. Okay, NASDAQ. Okay, so NASDAQ, we're also running into the hourly 50 MA, which can act as strong resistance. And we're looking for a 4-hour lower high on NASDAQ as well. So Apple beat on top line, bottom line. They raised their dividend and they announced, was it a $90 billion buyback? Oh, now I want to know, 90 or 70? One second. Yeah, 90 billion with a B, with a B. I was watching CNBC this morning and I heard that they said that Apple's guidance is they're still anticipating sales to be down 1% next quarter. So they're not guiding down from prior guidance given. They're just saying what we said before, we're standing behind, we foresee a small decline in sales. And I think that's why we got that pop and then kind of a mixed reaction. But that $90 billion buyback, that's huge. It's like Tim Cook's like, oh, Google, dude, you want to do 70 billion? I'll show you. I'll do 90 billion. Okay, RTY. Thanks, Ed and MG. Yeah, hit that like button. Well, look at you, RTY. So I've been beating up on RTY and Nat Gas pretty consistently for a few weeks now. Well, RTY is getting over 17.4350. We have made a 4-hour higher high on the Russell. We haven't done it on the NASDAQ and ES. Why are we making a 4-hour higher high on the Russell? Hello. How you doing, CVNA? CVNA is putting a hurting on the Bears. I'm sorry, my Louisiana just comes out sometimes. They had the best quarter they've ever had. Your next resistance 1085, but look at that, up 47%. What's the next reason? IWM's doing so well. DKNG beat. These regional banks up 21% on wall. KRE up 4%. So IWM, that could be back burner plays because today IWM is leading. Am I in the flow state or am I just fooling myself? Because I feel like I'm vibing with these charts, but maybe I'm fooling myself. So 4-hour lower high is anticipated on YM. It's not quite as strong as RTY or NASDAQ. We didn't have a lot of YM type earnings. Apple is part of the Dow, obviously, but a lot of those names yesterday were mid to small caps. Okay, so we did that. VIX is pulling back pretty hard. Dan made a great point that VIX keeps bouncing from 38, 39 on daily RSI. That may be something to put on your chart. I put a little alert there. That's where we popped from yesterday, was from that 39 RSI, or I should say we started Monday bouncing from there and we ran into the daily 50 MA overhead. So again, let me go highlight that on here. Confluence, 50 MA overhead. Okay. Bitcoin's a bit of a fly in, well, I guess it's green, but we're making an hourly lower low right now. We're in an hourly downtrend. But remember, Bitcoin led us here. Bitcoin was doing this when the market was doing this. And let's go over our narrative. And this is the narrative. I'm not going to claim credit for figuring out all of these different inverse relationships. Charting Man Dan was way ahead of it than most. So we have XLF. We have banks. And when the banks were going down, why am I writing this? My handwriting is terrible when I'm using this thing because my magnet. Bitcoin and miners were going up and gold going up. I may need to rethink my gold thesis. So XLF today is bouncing. So today we're bouncing on XLF. So that is bearish Bitcoin, bearish miners, and bearish gold. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I don't know what bull flag you're speaking of, but on the daily on SPY, there's no bull flag that I see. Okay. So Bitcoin is bearish with this downtrend. That's to be expected with XLF bouncing. You have support at 28684, 28674, resistance 29555. So I'm going to stay with this thought. So this is a bearish chart on the hourly. So I have Riot as a short today. Riot, I would look to short against the high of yesterday, 1115, with banks bouncing, bearish Bitcoin, bearish these miners. And Riot has been lagging MARA. Okay, gold. Well, there answered that gold question. I didn't have to even retract my thesis. It acted it out for me. You're approaching the hourly 200 MA, but we've got a pullback on gold with that data, non-farm payrolls. That's a pretty bearish candle developing. We're still looking for a daily higher low. And it's typically a good place to look for that with hourly oversold. But I'd be careful with XLF bouncing. That thought may not work. We're right here with a double bottom at 2016, 2015. The next bounce, bears are looking to top fish overbought conditions. There the market goes. Y'all, I'm telling you, I'm feeling it today. I'm just feeling it. That's kind of scary because that means I may be way off. Okay, we had that big flush Wednesday night, and gold has bounced beautifully from that big flush. Plenty of room now for a 4-hour higher low. And I wouldn't go as far as to say a daily higher low, but definitely a 4-hour higher low. Hourly chart is now overbought in a daily downtrend. Bears, I think, are going to get their spot. They're going to get a chance on oil today. We're starting to get a couple topping candles. Your next resistance, 71.79. Yep, Dixie's going a little wild on the non-farm payrolls. It got real happy real quick. 5-minute RSI is 88. RSI means less when it's moving on news. Okay, Nat Gas. I've talked so much trash about this name that even I'm convincing myself that maybe it is time to bottom pick on Nat Gas. This is a dumpster fire. Do I have to talk about it? I don't. This is my show. I make the rules. This is a mess. An absolute mess. If you wanted to go long and you were chomping at the bit and you couldn't figure out anything else to trade, I guess you could go long against $2 psychological and say that's the line in the sand. But why? Why? Apple is up here testing the high of the reaction. 171.47 is your resistance. I do want to be just aware of this broadening formation, these higher highs without getting follow through. Probably looks better on the 2-hour, but you get the picture. This is bullish. So if you want to play Apple bullish, most conservative, first 5-minute back burner, oversold. Conservative, that's the conservative. Aggressive is you're just waiting for the first pullback by stair step or EQ. Okay, Amazon, it has a double top right now with a pre-market high and yesterday's high. On Amazon looks fine. No big issues here whatsoever. We're squeezing on the hourly. And I'll show you the other chart that has me really bullish in just a second. So Amazon looks fine. I don't see a setup that's screaming at me on it though. Nvidia, we're bouncing. Yesterday's high, 278.59. It may have issues there because that's where the 50 MA is as well. I don't see a clear setup on this one as well. It is squeezing. It could put a hurting on bulls too if it wanted to get going. Nvidia and Tesla can really hurt bulls when it gets froggy. Tesla with a squeeze, tightening range. And I say tightening range and I realize that I'm saying that loosely. We broke the low of Wednesday. Yesterday we broke the low. I'm still calling this a tightening range. Bears were unable to go anywhere with that. A break over the high of yesterday, 163.25, I think is a long on Tesla. Carvana, I like a pullback buy. 5-minute back burner on Carvana. JPM, I like a pullback buy. And I swear I don't do this on purpose. It's just that it's always on my radar and I feel like I can read it pretty well, not perfectly. But I think a pullback buy against 133.79, and I may initiate a swing today on JPM for a long, looking for that extended bounce, because guess where we are, y'all? Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. We held the daily 50 MA on JPM. Gets froggy. I know. Trey, you out of everybody here, you should understand what I'm saying. Something gets froggy. That means it's ready to go. It's feeling frisky. There's a word, frisky. Okay, JPM looks good for a pullback long. Now this is the chart I'm most excited about today. Y'all look at that squeeze. Can we just have a silent moment in reverence for this chart? I have it highlighted down here, this red box, that's the squeeze. This thing is beautiful. 305.14 could be a pullback buy. If the market starts pulling back hard, it could break down bearish out of this pattern just as much as it could break out bullish. Odds favor bullish. Let's go over that. When you have a tightening range, which we have a base, all about that base. When we have a base formation, you look at the preceding trend. So the edge here is to the upside. Odds favor the preceding trend continuation once you form a base. So now it could still break down, but odds favor bullish. Riot, I already went over that. I'm looking bearish against yesterday's high, 11.15. If the market's bullish, it'll be a difficult short, and then I would just stick with the long ideas, but you could also use 11.33, 11.34 as a top fish area. And I explained why I like that earlier. Schwab, I like a pullback buy. If we can get a gap fill or just a tiny attempt at a gap fill and then resumes higher, I like a Schwab buy. Schwab's been beat up unfairly, unjustly. Schwab has been lumped in with the regional banks. It is not a regional bank. It has a much larger market cap. What is the market cap? Market cap is 87 billion. Wall is 1.95 billion. Do y'all see that? Am I making my point? Okay. Look here. 2 billion, 1.995 billion on Wall. That's the market cap. PACW, 373 million. That's it. Not even a B. Million. Look at Schwab. 82 billion. I rest my case. My minor wasn't pre-law. I did want to be a lawyer. So evidence has been presented. I like a pullback buy on Schwab. And this may be the better long, actually, than JPM, since it was beat up even more. It's 3 times the size of Schwab. Tesla's moving without us. There she blows. I trade TSLL. That is a 2 times leveraged Tesla when I want to play Tesla long. Mark, I would say the max I risk, it has to be a solid name like Tesla or Apple. I'll risk 20% of my account. Spot. And if the market keeps going, we're up almost 1%. If we could have a good trending day, it'll be hard to hold Bitcoin down if the market's having a good day in general. Even if XLF is bouncing, I'm just saying in general that inverse correlation has been working. Spot is getting over resistance. Daily inside bar breaking bull. All right, well, I have a doctor's appointment this morning. I need to get to the doctor's office, and I will be back TCG in the room in a couple hours. I'll put my notes in the room before I leave. I appreciate you being here. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and don't drink too much tequila today on Cinco de Mayo, and use stop losses.